Ever since the invention of the camera, images of extraterrestrials have been shared with the public. When you least expected it, you started to see videos of a flying object posted on social media accounts wherever you are in the world. Here we are unraveling this mystery together. Are you ready to discover the contact of extraterrestrials with our world? In 2017, the New York Times reported on some UFO videos. The videos were leaked in 2007 and 2017 without the approval of the ministry. This even led some to suggest that it was a public relations stunt. However, the Pentagon, the headquarters of the U.S. Department of Defense, finally declassified these 3 videos in 2020. This caused people interested in UFOs to get excited about it. The news was reported by all media sources. This had the same effect as the CIA's official public declaration in 2013 that Area 51 was real, maybe even more so. It was as if the truth was slowly being accepted, governments were starting to admit it, and UFO researchers were saying, "See, we told you so." Nevertheless, some people were not immediately convinced by the news, but approached the subject from a scientific point of view. This led to them being labeled as conservative scientists by UFO fans, because according to them, everything was obvious and to ignore it would be considered denial. But are these videos enough for us to unquestionably accept that aliens are among us? Let's examine them together. The aforementioned videos were taken from infrared recordings of U.S. Navy fighter jet pilots on board the aircraft carriers USS Nimitz and USS Theodore Roosevelt. The first of these videos is from 2004 and shows a 12-meter object moving rapidly through 15 meters of water. The other 2, from 2014 and 2015, also show fast-moving objects. Department of Defense spokesperson Sue Goff said, "This is not the first such video, nor will it be the last." Interestingly, while one of the pilots in the video identified it as a drone, most people didn't focus on that, focusing only on the how fast part and making various calculations about how many thousands of kilometers per hour it was traveling, which cannot be verified. But of course, it may not be a drone, it could be a rocket, a test vehicle, an experiment, or something else entirely. It could be a malfunction in the jet's recording systems. The object may have been slow-moving, but due to the speed of the jet or the zooming in the recordings, it may have appeared as if the object was also traveling extremely fast. It could be a product of countries' intelligence activities against each other and new technology trials. There could be many reasons. The more important and bigger problem is this. These objects are unidentified objects. In other words, we cannot know for sure what they are. For this reason, they are recorded as UFOs or unidentified weather phenomena. Those who claim that these are aliens are in fact claiming that they know exactly what these objects are. The motivation behind the Pentagon's release of such videos is to make arrangements for the detection and investigation of objects intruding into U.S. airspace, so that potential threats can be dealt with early on. In 2019, a statement was made. In those notes, the curtain of mystery was lifted one by one. A scientist whose name is kept secret, we receive signals from unidentified objects at regular intervals. Sometimes once a day, sometimes every minute. We haven't been able to determine where and from which visibility it is coming from. With our current technology, it is very difficult to detect it. The signals seem to be coming from millions of light years away. No one can detect it. Thousands of years from now, we will only have this technology. However, it should be emphasized that there are many points that people miss because they do not investigate this case in depth. First of all, these jets have undergone significant upgrades over the years. Thus, more sensitive detection systems were integrated into their radars. So, for example, if you think about the fact that a fast-moving jet system that previously could not even detect a single bird with precision can now do so, pilots may encounter things in the air that they could not see before, and these may be quite ordinary things. Secondly, the writers of the New York Times story all appear to be UFO believers, which raises doubts about the objective view of the subject. One of the writers is reporter Leslie Kean, who is also the author of UFOs, Generals, Pilots, and Government Officials Go on the Record, 2010. Another video of an incident shared by the Chilean Navy in recent years also included infrared footage, which Kean also shared with the New York Times. The footage showed a black object flying through the sky, leaving a long trail behind it, and was captured from a helicopter. CIFA, the Chilean government agency that studies celestial phenomena and is under the jurisdiction of the Chilean Air Force, could not explain what was happening in the footage. But what they couldn't explain, careful observers and skeptics like Mick West, science writer and founder of the Metabunk website, could clearly show that it was an A340 aircraft leaving a trail behind the images. We can say that Kean has created a sensation out of the Pentagon's low-resolution UFO report, just as he did in this case. However, it would be more useful for him to preserve the mystery than to accept the explanations as plausible. Perhaps, as in the case of the Chilean UFO incident, the Pentagon's explanation of the UFO videos may be simpler than we think. An object that appears fast may in reality be stationary or slow, an object that appears close and low may in reality be far away and high, and as an observer you may sometimes find it difficult to distinguish between them, even if you are an experienced pilot. One last point: what level of evidence would be convincing? For example, if the airplanes filming these objects come into close contact with them, take high-resolution photographs and record close-up videos of them, and if it can be shown in a scientifically meaningful way that these objects are extraterrestrial, then perhaps these claims can be taken more seriously. However, there is no scientific validity in making an exaggerated claim of alien visitation based on monotonous adjectives such as too fast, too small, too bright, too dark. I would like to share one more mystery with you. I worked as a manager of special projects in a secret company between 1975 and 1991. Benjamin Robert Rich, the father of stealth aircraft and many fighter jets. Before his death, Rich made shocking revelations about NASA's secret UFO files and aliens. We have had the means to travel between the stars for a very long time, but these technologies are used in secret projects. It is very, very difficult to use it for the benefit of humanity. We already know how to do everything you can imagine. We have the capacity to go to the stars. Now all the secrets about this need to be revealed. But there are still many people who want this information to remain secret. And Rich went on to say, there are two kinds of UFOs, what we do and what they do. The author of these words died in January 1995, 4 years after he quit his job. Just before the historic millennium. So I want you to stretch your mind a little bit and go back to the beginning of the millennium. If you remember, after September 11, 2001, many things changed in the world, including borders, and this change accelerated in 2019. While the UFO debate continues at full speed, another controversial claim came from former CIA agent Ramirez. It is not a coincidence that the U.S. has established UFO research units, NASA has organized extraordinary meetings and the U.S. Congress is listening to UFO witnesses, and there are completely different purposes behind this. According to Ramirez, the newly established special units, the meetings, and the recent emergence of multiple UFO disclosures are all part of a deliberate plan. We are preparing the U.S. population and indeed the world population for this reality. Because if we continue as we have done in previous years, there will be a mass panic. While many conspiracy theorists say that humanity is preparing for a fake alien invasion, former CIA agent Ramirez suggests that extraterrestrial life will make itself known very soon and that the government is preparing for it. Finally, in an interview with podcast UFO, Ramirez goes a step further and suggests that the authorities will announce alien contact in 2027. 2027 is just 4 years away. Hang in there a little longer, my dear. Whether it will be a fake alien invasion or a real contact is unknown, but it is certain that humanity is preparing for a new world. What do you think? UFO mystery deepens in the U.S. An exciting hearing in the U.S. Congress brought to light some shocking claims about UFOs and unidentified aerial phenomena beyond what is known. Here are the highlights from this mystery-filled hearing. A revelation bomb. Retired Major David Grush, a former member of the Pentagon's UAP task force, claimed that the U.S. has been secretly reverse engineering UFOs for years and has obtained non-human biological entities from these craft. However, Grush stated that he had not personally seen these beings or vehicles, but had gotten his information from more than 40 credible witnesses. Pentagon response. The Defense Department, while acknowledging the existence of unidentified aerial phenomena, flatly denied that programs existed to study such material. Shocking eyewitness accounts. Former Navy pilot Ryan Graves and retired Navy Commander David Fravor also shared their own UFO experiences. Graves talked about a mysterious object he encountered off the coast of Virginia Beach in 2014, while Fravor talked about his encounter with a tic-tac-shaped object off the coast of San Diego in 2004. Stigma problem in UFO reporting. The problem of stigma experienced by pilots in reporting UFO sightings was an important part of the session. Graves stated that only 5% of UAP sightings are reported. National security concerns. There was general agreement that these mysterious phenomena pose potential risks, regardless of whether they are alien technology or something more obscure. 3 military retirees testified at the UFO hearing in Congress. One of them, David Grush, a former Air Force intelligence officer, testified that the U.S. government's reverse engineering program examined intercepted objects and suggested that the U.S. had collected non-human biologicals from alleged crash sites. While the topic often revolved around little green men, much of the discussion centered on how to improve UFO reporting processes. There were also calls to remove the stigma for aviators reporting UAP sightings. Grush said that he has been denied access to some government UFO programs, but that he knows the precise locations of UAPs he holds in the U.S. Grush said he had spoken to people with direct knowledge of the UAP program, who claimed they were still in the program and that the U.S. was collecting non-human biological material from the pilots of the craft. Grush based his opinions on the accounts of more than 40 witnesses he interviewed over 4 years on the UAP task force. Former Navy fighter pilot Ryan Graves and retired Commander David Fravor also testified at the same hearing. Graves described an encounter with a UAP off Virginia Beach in 2014. Fravor described seeing a white, tic-tac-shaped flying object off the coast of San Diego in 2004. In the face of this technology, we are not close to anything we have. It's incredible technology. The hearing was the latest example of Congress's effort to demand greater transparency from intelligence agencies about UAPs. Grush, Graves and Fravor said they hoped the public debate would be the first step in removing the stigma attached to UAP reports and encouraging others to come forward. Americans deserve to know what's in our skies. This is long overdue. This summary highlights the main events and claims, omitting some technical details and less important information from the original post. I hope this version offers more exciting and concise content for readers who want to get an overview of the topic. In conclusion, this session has deepened our knowledge about UFOs and increased the demand for further research on the subject. But the exact answers to what lies behind these mysterious phenomena remain a mystery. This session has further fueled our curiosity about what lies hidden in the dark depths of space. The veil of mystery is being lifted one by one. The U.S. Department of Defense Pentagon has confirmed that leaked photos and videos of unidentified aerial phenomena, taken in 2019, are in fact legitimate images of unexplained objects. The Pentagon has confirmed that footage taken in 2019 of 6 UFOs flying over warships is real and admitted that they have no idea what they are. Pentagon spokeswoman Sue Goff told CNN International that photos and videos of triangular-shaped objects flashing and moving through clouds were taken by Navy personnel. She also confirmed that photos of 3 unidentified flying objects, one shaped like a sphere, one shaped like an acorn, and one described as a metallic balloon, were also taken by Navy personnel. As we have said before, to ensure operational security and to avoid disclosing information that could be useful to potential adversaries, the Department of Defense does not publicly discuss details of observations or investigations of reported incursions into our training areas or designated airspace, the statement said. It added that the Unidentified Aerial Phenomena Task Force, created in August to investigate UFO sightings observed by the military, has incorporated these events into its ongoing investigations. The Navy said that in 2019 there were a number of reports of unauthorized and/or unidentified aircraft entering various military-controlled ranges and designated airspace in recent years. Last year, the Pentagon released 3 videos showing unidentified aerial incidents. These images, which the U.S. Navy had previously confirmed, were real. Long before the fake video, which has shaken the world for decades, it was revealed that real footage had been taken by the U.S. Central Intelligence Agency, CIA. The process, which began with a mysterious series of emails, documented that the CIA, which changed history by releasing real UFO footage in the first days of 2021, had performed an autopsy on aliens. A researcher who spent 10 years studying the famous Roswell autopsy video revealed that the leaked documents contained real images of aliens examined by the CIA. Author Philip Mantle, Britain's most famous UFO researcher, was among the first to see the fake Roswell video that emerged in the mid-90s and continues to fool millions around the world. He now appears in a new TV program, Alien Autopsy: The Search for Answers, which sets out to separate fact from fiction. In the program, Mantle examines an email chain. The correspondence reveals that a CIA officer was duped by a 17-minute fake video. On the other hand, it comes to light that U.S. officials had been investigating another alien autopsy years before this fake video came to light. It is even claimed that Dr. Christopher Green, an intelligence agency expert, was shown the autopsy footage at an official briefing at the Pentagon in the early 1980s. On the other hand, in recent months, millions of publicly available documents of the U.S. Central Intelligence Agency, CIA, on UFOs have been made available in a downloadable format. The website The Black Vault, run by John Greenewald, has published UAP, Unidentified Aerial Phenomena, documents that the government has documented for UFOs, unidentified flying objects. All these documents are available on the Black Vault's website. Greenewald uploaded the 2.2 million page archive to the Black Vault by manually scanning thousands of files he received from multiple agencies, including the CIA, under the Freedom of Information Act, FOIA. Greenewald, a Freedom of Information activist, said he submitted more than 10,000 FOIA requests to the government to obtain the files. "I fought for years to get the UFO records released by the CIA," Greenewald said in an email to Motherboard, the technology supplement of the American Vice News website. Greenewald likened his effort to pulling teeth. "I traveled with them to try to make it happen, and it finally happened. I received a big box containing several thousand files," he said. After many years, the secret UFO files held by the British government were shared with the public. If all the items shared are completed, the mystery of the triangular-shaped UFO that appeared in 1980 is expected to be revealed. The biggest question of the last 100 years, did aliens come to our world, is still unanswered. It is known that there are some documents in the hands of governments that have been conducting research for a long time. In particular, America is thought to have some documents that have changed the era, but this information is still kept secret. Finally, the British Ministry of Defence, which managed to overcome this secrecy a little bit, announced new UFO files under the name Britain's X-Files. The UK, which published 15 of the 18 files in total, attracted much greater suspicion with this move. Many users pointed to the fact that 3 of the 18 items were not published as proof that UFOs really exist. We can't blame those who think this way, but we can't help but wonder why all of this information, which does not provide evidence that UFOs and aliens exist, was not published. For this reason, the British government, which has created suspicion in millions of people, including us, answers questions such as what policies will be implemented in the event of an encounter with alien life with 15 published articles. This information from the National Archives is normally publicized by putting it online. The government refuses to allow this, forcing UFO suspects to pay for access. The researchers, who expect the 3 unpublished items from the 18 items to be presented soon, aim to solve the mystery of the triangular-shaped UFO that appeared in 1980 with the arrival of the 3 items. Police officer encounters a UFO and its occupants. On April 24, 1964, before noon in New Mexico. We would like to share another mystery with you. In the Socorro region, police officer Lonnie Zamora was traveling south in his car. He was startled by a sudden rumbling sound and then saw a flash in the southwestern sky. At first Zamora thought there was dynamiting nearby. By this time he had crested a hill and saw a car-sized object on the road in front of him and 2 tiny humanoids in white overalls standing next to it. At first Zamora thought he had encountered a car accident and stopped his vehicle and got out, but suddenly he realized that the object did not look like a car at all, it was egg-shaped and stood on 4 legs. Above the object he saw a symbol in the form of a curved arrow above a crown-like shape. The 2 humanoid shapes had disappeared, and then there was a loud noise from the object. Zamora, frightened, ran back to his car, glanced behind him and saw the UFO taking off and heading toward a nearby canyon. Blue Book investigators accused Officer Zamora of seeking fame, but on the other hand, investigators did not deny that 4 gouge marks were found at the scene where the object had been resting and that there was burnt grass in the area. In short, Zamora had encountered something unusual, but what was it? Another airplane disappears. Much later, when word spread that Mantell had attacked and been shot down by a UFO scare gripped the flying community. But the drama was far from over, because 5 years later, on November 23, 1953, it happened again. That night, the Air Defense Command detected an unknown object flying over Lake Superior at 500 miles per hour. An F-89C fighter was in the immediate vicinity, and the command immediately ordered a close pursuit. As the radar operators watched on the screen as the fighter plane met the UFO, something incredible happened and all contact with the ground was lost as the 2 signals on the screen disappeared one after the other. The whole area was searched, but there was no trace of the plane, nor of the pilot Lieutenant Felix Moncla and the radar man Lieutenant R. Wilson. The explanations were similar but far from satisfactory. 2 years later, aviation expert Donald E. Kehoe published a book entitled The UFOs Are Real, in which he described in very strong language that the truth was absolutely hidden by the authorities. Kehoe was elected chairman of the National Committee for the Investigation of Celestial Bodies in 1957, and until his death in 1969, he waged an unforgettable war against all government agencies, especially the CIA, to obtain UFO secrets. At the end of the 50s, another official of Project Blue Book, Sergeant O.D. Hill, created a new shock with his statement. Hill revealed that the case of the missing F-89C plane was not unique and that many similar cases were being hidden. Many believed that an extraterrestrial civilization had shot down many American fighter planes in those years. In a sense, a new Pearl Harbor had happened in a space dimension. The 1950s were the height of the Cold War between the US and the USSR. Therefore, the American public viewed UFO sightings as a secret Soviet instrument of war, and when it became clear that trust in the administration had plummeted, the authorities became completely hostile to all UFO sightings. Meanwhile, both the Pentagon and the White House began to believe that they had encountered a secret Soviet weapon, and when UFOs were sighted over Washington, D.C., on July 19, 1952, worries ran high. What was going on? In 1980, when the National Enquirer published the statements of Major Jesse Marcel, new testimonies about the Roswell incident began to emerge one by one. For example, according to these testimonies, there was a military operation at the time to reassemble the pieces of the extraterrestrial debris and even to perform an autopsy on the cadaver of the aliens. On May 27, 1995, at a press conference at the Museum of London, British television producer Ray Santilli presented to the public some films that he said belonged to the U.S. military intelligence services. These films, which lasted more than 90 minutes and were allegedly shot after the Roswell UFO Crash in 1947 included autopsy scenes of some humanoids. Santilli had obtained the films from Army photographer Jack Barnett, who had kept a copy of the films he had shot for the Army. The film was first shown to the world through the BBC, then aired on various television channels and appeared on the cover of various magazines. According to the story, the extraterrestrials are about a meter tall, human-like, but their heads are large and their eyes are very large and black without pupils. This shows that there is little light in the unique environment they live in. They seem to have no lips, long thin arms and four-fingered hands. A nurse who took part in the autopsy said their bones looked like wood. On the autopsy images that emerged, Army sources said that the autopsy images were only models and had nothing to do with reality. After 61 years, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI, published its special report on a space shuttle that crashed in New Mexico in 1950. The report on the flying saucer, whose existence had been denied for years, included the finest details such as the size of the aliens, the shape and size of the shuttle. In the report prepared by Guy Hoddle, who worked as a secret agent in Washington, it was announced that 3 space shuttles were captured in New Mexico. The document, dated March 22, 1950, stated, "The flying objects can be described as a circle with an ascending center. The diameter of the object is 15 meters. In each vehicle we found 3 bodies similar to human bodies. Those found are 90 centimeters tall and wear metallic clothes. Each of their bodies is covered with bandages similar to those worn by pilots." Don't forget to follow me and subscribe. See you in the new episode.